Again, welcome back for another fragrance review for you guys. This time around, we'll be looking at uh, a really favorite of mine, and I'll say about that for all of my fragrance that I review. You'll be hearing me saying that, but this particular one, I don't like tags, but I would say if there is one signature scent for me personally, that would be this one. This is the house of Yves Saint Laurent, and that will be again is probably my favorite designer house, and that's no other than the legend for me and to my eyes, Rive Gauche pour homme. Now, Rive Gauche pour homme was released in 2003. It is the sibling of the Rive Gauche for women, which looks the same as this, just blue, but with blue stripes. But this came a lot later. The women's version came out in the 70s or 80s. I've smelled that, and again, I will maybe refer to it later on. But let's get on with this one. So, released in 2003. Top notes are bergamot, star anise, rosemary, lavender for the heart, geranium leaves, cloves, and base notes of vetiver, guaiac wood, and patchouli. Okay, so what would you expect from this one? Now, it really surprises you. It really is unique. Unique in a way that I've never smelled another fragrance like it. There's things that come a little bit close, but nothing quite as like as this. This, by the way, comes in two sizes as far as I'm aware. This is the old bottle. Actually, nowadays it only comes in one size, and that is 80 ml, and it's part of the heritage collection, they call it, whereas you get these cube sized bottles of it. This one Jazz and M7 and stuff like that from the old collection of YSL. But this, the one I'm holding now, is basically how it came out back in the day, and I do love it. I do love it, the bottle of it. So, how does it smell? I have it sprayed on this arm. It does open really fresh, really green. That greenness, I mean, obviously has the bergamot there that plays a big part to it, and then the rosemary, and straight away after literally about 2 or 3 minutes, you start getting the anise, the star anise. Now, anise is a little bit of an acquired taste. You either like it or you don't. I tend to love it. Same as rosemary, as I mentioned before. Anise has this thing about having the sweetness, but also I tend to connect it with booziness, because I come from a place where it's used a lot in a really famous drink that we have, and it's also a main ingredient as in food. You'll get Italy uses it in a really nice drink called sambuca. And I know from the drink and the food that it's a really polarizing ingredient. Not many people like it. Those who like it love it. Again, you have people that, for instance, licorice is really familiar to that. Licorice, some people love it, some people hate it. I personally don't like licorice, but I do like the other iterations of the anise smell, let's say. Now, obviously this anise comes up and it does hit you in the face, and it's like, what's going on here? That's where all the qualities of the fragrance start showing, and it's not your typical run-of-the-mill, let's say, masculine fragrance. It is a strictly masculine one. I can't see any woman wearing this or being described as unisex. Along with the anise, you start getting the geranium. I get a lot of geranium, which makes it, the concoction between anise and geranium makes for this really medicinal quality, but at the same time is really clean. It stays linear for a couple maybe of hours or maybe more, and then the dry down is just a smoother version of what you get in the heart. Main players again are the anise and I would say the geranium of that medicinal vibe that you get. But the concoction of that actually is amazing, and I would describe it in pictures as like a barbershop, like a royal barbershop. I don't know if that such thing exists, but to my nose, this is like walking into a really prestigious old school barbershop where you get, you know, wooden chairs, wooden interiors. You would have marble tabletops and really, you know, barbers with really, you know, high-end gentleman outfits, with moustaches and maybe, you know, beards, trimming your hair, and this whole vibe of a royal barbershop, let's call it like that, or a really high-class barbershop. I don't know. It's the smells that you will find in there. Many people have compared this to like barbershop cream or like shaving cream. It does have that quality to it, but it's not cheap. It's just, imagine that barbershop smell, the mix between the woods, the, you know, the flooring, the ingredients used to, you know, for the conditioners or the hair, hairsprays, or, you know, even the barbers, the cream for shaving, and this whole idea of walking into a really old rustic barbershop. That's what, that's the vibe you get out of this, and for me, it ticks all the boxes to be to be a really successful man scent. And don't get me wrong, this doesn't smell old. I'll find this as modern and as contemporary as it can be, and at the same time as reminiscent of old times as it can be. It just balances perfectly between, you know, really good quality and really new modern feel, uh, with really, let's say, vintage rustic feel as well. um, it's really versatile. I mean, to my skin, it just happens that it works at any season. I'm not sure you'll be hitting hard to actually say this cannot work in the summer. It does. It just needs to be applied a little bit less, I suppose, or maybe not for every occasion, but it does work all year round. And the amazing story behind this with me is that, being my signature scent, I don't reach for it nowadays so much as I used to, just because I'm trying out new things. But it does have a place in my heart where it's so special, just because I went through like 3 or 4 bottles of this, and I know that it might sound funny for people if they tried it, but I love it so much that I used to wear it every day at work. And once, longevity wise, I'll tell you this story. It's just, I was working in the kitchen, and on I was working on a grill. So imagine the heat, imagine the smell of grill, and being in there for about 7 8 hours. I sprayed this when I left home to go to work, and after a full day's work, I happened to finish, and a colleague of mine had finished at the same time. So we're saying goodbye to each other, and she was a girl. She gave me a hug. I gave her a hug to say goodbye. And after all that day, where usually in that shop you only be smelling of food, she just turned out to me and said, "You smell really nice perfume." And I was like, I've forgotten what I wore, and it was like, I just I said, "Thank you very much," and then I left. And what I did, I just pressed my wrist against my neck where I've sprayed 8 hours ago, and after a whole load of shit that I've been cooking, and I just had a whiff with it, and the fragrance was still there. It was unbelievable. I was gobsmacked. I was like, really, this thing is divine to my skin. I don't know. People have been talking about good longevity with this one. It's not one of your light fragrances, but it does stay airy on you. It's not really. It will project, but it's not heavy. So I was amazed. I was just, you know, no other fragrance has done this to me, designer wise, because back in the days I didn't know anything about niche fragrances. But still, for the money you'll be expecting to pay, which is nowadays the only size you'll find would be the 80, and it's about £60, something like that. It's still a really good purchase. I really recommend it. It does, for some people, come across as mature, but I believe anybody over 25 can really pull this off, and it does work in any occasion. I've seen this working in summer days, in casual, you know, walkouts, in anything, all the way up to formal events. Especially there is where you get, you know, this ooze of, let's say, class, or, you know, manlyhood coming out, because this is what it does at its best. It's basically there to put a statement and say, here I am. You know, it's a man's man fragrance, but it's not dated. It's not, you know, it's not something your, let's say, grandfather would wear necessarily. It does linger that, it does remind you of that, but it's not. It balances perfectly between the modern age of fragrances and the old school, and that's the success in this one. That's why I call it Royal Barbershop, and not just your old man's barbershop that you find, the local one that you just go there for the cheap prices and the lousy haircut. Yeah, that's all my thoughts on this one. uh, Thank you for watching. I will be coming back with more reviews, and I would try to start delving into niche stuff, which I know people out there are really interested in. But yeah, until next time, check it out for sure. If you find a different bottle, it's the same juice as far as I know. Maybe there's a reformulation, but I think longevity, projection wise, quality of juice should be remaining the same on this one. I've just sampled it on my wrist, the new one. I'm not really sure, I don't own it. So, but yeah, great fragrance, guys. See you later. Thank you very much.